Hi, my name is Kari Herzog, and I'm the product architect here at FieldSync. What I'd like to go over with you today are some of the new features that we just came out with in our 2.4.8 release. Now, this release includes a lot of different functionality, but the primary features that we included are the ability to reorder your configurable fields, the ability to reorder the values within the value lists that are used by configurable fields. We've added the ability to group your customers and filter data based on those groups. We've made it so that the display name is used throughout the application when referring to customers. And we also added two new configurable fields of date stamp and timestamp. So I'm going to go ahead and go through each of those quickly and give you just a quick overview of how each of those features works. So let's take a look first at the reordering of the configurable fields. So I'm going to go into my settings area within the web application and go to the logs tab. And under the logs tab, I have a log type that is set up for a time card. So if I come in here to edit my fields, you can see that I have time in, time out, acknowledgement, and signature. Let's say that I want to add a field for the day of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and add a configurable field. I'm going to make it a drop-down list and tie it to my days of the week value list. Now let's say I decide that I want that to be the first field that I have. So I simply come over here to the order column, change this to number 1, and save it. So now when I go back into that log type, you will see that the day of the week is the first field. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as far as collecting data within the logs. So I'll go into logs and select add a new log. And for my type, I will choose time card. And now you can see here that I have day of the week first. So this is a huge enhancement to our product because prior to this release, if you added a new field to any of your forms, then it would automatically go to the bottom of the form. And if that didn't make sense, more times than not, you had to recreate the form. So in order to show you how to reorder value lists, I'm going to select this drop-down list, and you'll see that by default, the days of the week value list is in alphabetical order, which up until this last release was the default order. So when you're selecting a day of the week, alphabetical order just does not make sense. So let's go in and take a look at how to change that. Again, I'll go into my settings area, and you'll see my value lists here, and I have a value list called days of the week. I'm selecting the values, and here I can see the default order of alphabetical. So let's say that I want to change the order of this value list so that it makes more sense. So I'm going to start by making Sunday the first one. Monday, I'll put as 2. Tuesday will be 3. Wednesday will be 4. Thursday, 5. Friday, 6. And Saturday is 7. And I'm actually going to go in and disable the blank field so that we don't have that showing up in our drop-down list. Okay, so now you can see that the order of those fields is in the order that you would expect them to be. So we'll go back into logs, add a new log, we'll choose that same type of time card, and now you can see that in my drop-down list, those values are in the order that we just indicated. So again, you can see that there's a huge value in being able to set the order of the values that you add in a value list. So that covers the reordering of the configurable fields, and it also covers the reordering of the value list. So now let's move on to the functionality regarding groups. Groups can be applied to your customers, but before we can apply your customers to a group, we need to set the groups up. And that is done within settings again under the System tab. So the System tab essentially contains all of the value lists that are system-based and not used within your different forms. So you can see now that within the System tab, we have a new line for customer groups. So if I go into customer groups, you'll see I have a north region, a south region, and a west region. So I'm going to also go in there and add an east region. Okay, so those are my 4 groups. Now when I go into my customers area, you can see that I've already assigned many of my customers to a specific group. And the way that you can do that is by going in to edit the customer, and you now will see a new field at the top of the customer profile to select a group. So we have Jack Black here, and I'm going to go ahead and assign him to the East region. Then I can come down and save the customer, and now you will see that Jack Black has been assigned to the East region. So where this is valuable to you is within all of the other screens. So for example, let's go into logs. Prior to this release, when you came into logs, you automatically would see all of the logs for all of your customers. Well, now you can filter that list. So let's say, for example, you only want to see the logs for the Western region. I can select Western region, and now from here I see only the customers that I have assigned to the Western region. We've added those same filters to all of the reports. So by selecting a group, you automatically filter the customer list. If you still want to see all, then you can choose all, or you can choose to see all of the customers that have been unassigned. This functionality is also available on the mobile application and helps to, again, filter all of the data by those groups. You can also see that with relation to customers that we've made it so that the display name is the actual value that is displayed in all of the screens. So if I go into Jack Black and select Edit, and let's say we have a nickname for Jack, and we call him King Jack. Now when I save that information, when I go, for example, into logs, and again choose the East region, now the display name is King Jack rather than his first and last name. So this is helpful, for example, if you have nicknames. It's also helpful if the customers that you are providing services to are not individuals. Maybe it's a company name, and rather than entering a first and last name, maybe you'd rather use a company name such as ABC Inspections or something like that. So you can utilize that display name now, and that's the name that is displayed throughout the application. We've also added 2 new configurable fields of date stamp and timestamp, and these work exactly the same as the date timestamp, but essentially you're able to make your data even more specific. So here you can see in my date and time log, I have a date, I have a time, I have a date stamp, a timestamp, and a date timestamp. So let's go take a look at this log and see what the differences are. I'll go into log, select add new log. My type is configurable fields date and time, and you can see we have our date and time, which can be edited, but a date stamp will only capture the date. The time will only capture the time, and then the date and time stamp will capture both the date and time. So it really just depends on how specific you want each field to be and how you want that data to be exported from your reports. So that's a high-level overview of the functionality that we released in 2.4.8. If you have any specific questions about any of these features or anything else within FieldSync, please don't hesitate to get in touch with our Client Services Department, and they'll be happy to walk you through the functionality. Thank you.